kind of a high level view of what crisis communication is and what are some of the fundamental pieces. One of the things that we believe, because we see it all the time, is it's not if, it is when. I mean, we just see this again and again. You're dealing with too many people, whether it's with kids or development individuals with developmental disabilities or employees. Something is going to happen. People are making bad decisions at an unprecedented rate. I mean, it's just crazy. We've in this past we've seen it all, right? So you've seen employees making very inappropriate sexual decisions with individuals they serve or students, individuals getting hurt, accidents, bus garages being knocked over, clown sightings of all people. If you can imagine, we actually had clown sightings where people are looking at a clown mask, they're staring into a middle school auditorium, and everyone mayhem. So you have a press release on a clown sighting, for Pete's sakes. It's nuts. So what I want to do today is just give you kind of a high level view of crisis communications, some of the things you do. Now, in crisis communications, why do we even do this? When I say we, I mean, why do you need to be concerned about crisis communication? Your reputation. Your reputation, your brand is your most valuable asset. But by far, your brand is your most valuable asset. Think of all the time and efforts you do to promote the good name of your agency or your school district, whatever the community. Goodness, if you have to pass a levy or something a year or two down the road, your brand is your most valuable asset. We're a communications firm. When people come to us and say we have a levy to pass or this, they immediately go to a website or flyers or speeches or email blasts or social media posts. Those are all cool. But the first thing we always ask is, does your community trust you? Because trust is the most foundational element of communication. I want you to imagine, who is someone that you don't trust? I mean, a person that you find totally untrustworthy. Put them in your mind. Untrustworthy person. Okay. That untrustworthy person gives you an awesome flyer that links to a great website to invest in something. Are you going to do that? Heck no, you're not going to do that because you don't trust them. So trust is the foundational element. Does your community trust you? One of the places to inoculate yourself from crisis communication is, frankly, to have a great reputation. And this doesn't happen by accident. This happens with you continually communicating to your population of the positive things you do. They need to continually hear about the kids you serve, about the individuals you serve, about the grants you've received. Just this huge, we call it, it's like a positive news deposit. You're continuing to deposit those positive elements in your positive bank out there, because when you take a hit, because you will, when the crisis occurs, you have enough positive equity built that you can take that hit. So the first thing you got to think of is protecting yourself, is you just have a tremendous amount of positive information out there. And that doesn't happen by accident. That is a purposeful outreach to make sure that the community really understands what you do and what you do well. So you're putting out that information again and again. So now you've got this inoculation built. So if your reputation is your most valuable asset, we got to protect it. And the problem, of course, with social media and such is that it goes bad fast. I mean, when I would say Penn State Nittany Lion, if I had you guys in front of me, what I asked, what is the first thing that comes to your mind? Most people say Jerry Sandusky, right? Yeah, Penn State is this amazing institution that has done countless good things for 150 years. You think of sexual scandal, I'm afraid. That's the way things can go. If things go south, they go south so fast and your reputation is ruined, and now we're in trouble. So crisis communication, again, this is an entire day thing. I'm condensing to 20 minutes, so buckle up. Okay, so
talk fast.
talk fast. So the idea that there's like three big pieces. There's preparation for a crisis event, there's the crisis event itself, and there's the healing afterwards. There's the healing afterwards, which is a part which is often forgotten. I'm going to spend the majority of the time right now talking about the preparation. So if indeed it's truthfully that it's not if, it's when, how are we prepared? Let's think about this couple of things. So what are some things you have to have in place to make sure that you're prepared? The first thing is you must have a designated spokesperson. Is there anybody on your staff who is the designated spokesperson? So when something bad happens, the press is showing up, the cameras are coming in, People need to interview. Who is your designated spokesperson? Is it the superintendent? Is it the CEO? Is it the mayor? I don't know. But who is that designated spokesperson that is going to be the one that is going to take the response or do what they have to do? Now, here's the next question of that. Is that designated spokesperson trained? Do they know what they're doing? And Lori, myself, our crew, we've done this for a long time. If we're with a group and we're training, it's then the mayor or the superintendent says, you know what? I don't need training. I'm really good at this. That is code words for they really are not good at this. They're awful at this. And when it happens, they freeze. I mean, it's one of those things. The analogy we use is like boxing. Like, you know what? I'm gonna try boxing. I'm gonna give it a shot. The first time out, I'm gonna get in the ring with a heavyweight boxer. I'm gonna see how it goes. You're gonna get killed if you do that. That's a bad idea, right? I don't care if you're a seasoned veteran. We've seen many seasoned leaders who are very smart people, but something bad has just happened. Somebody's gotten hurt. Somebody has made a terrible decision and you're frazzled. And now you get a camera in your face and the light is on and someone is asking you questions. If you haven't practiced, you're in trouble. Do you have a designated spokesperson that has the chops and the training to be in the hot seat? Now, here's another piece of that. Is there redundancy? Lori and I will be presenting. Sometimes we'll have a conference, right? Well, the superintendent in front of us, the assistant superintendent, and the entire cabinet is in front of us in Columbus. And we'll say, it's so awesome you guys are all here to get this training. That's cool. What happens if there's a shooter in your building right now? Something is happening right now. Who in the world is trained to meet with the media? And everybody's eyes get really big, like, oh my gosh. You have to have somebody, at least enough redundancy, trained that there's somebody on site that can handle these things, or somebody that has the ability. So who in your staff has the ability to be the front person, but then who are 2 or 3 people? Because people go on vacation, people have COVID, people are sick, things happen. Who's watching? We kind of call it passing the baton. So if I'm the superintendent, or if I'm the president, and if I'm leaving for that day or I'm going on vacation, who am I passing the baton to? Who is the one that is going to be responsible? So you have training. You have your spokesperson. Is that person trained? Got to have it. It has to be redundancy. The next thing, what are the mechanisms you have to get the word out if something happens? So something bad happens, right? That is not the time to think. So somebody's
under their desk.
Yeah, I mean, so something has really happened. It's not the time. Laura, you want to share your story? Which is such a cool story about when that happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's cool, scary, everything all at the same time. I was a school administrator for years, had an actual active shooter in our building. And all the training we have, we practice all these lockdowns, and in practice, I'm walking next to the sheriff's department and we're going to door and we're checking to see if everybody's barricaded and doing what they're doing. In actuality, when something like that happens, I'm in my office, I'm barricaded in my office, and I am literally under my desk. And I have somebody texting me going, hey, what's the password to Facebook? Like, how are we going to get this out? What's the message we're going to write? The staff's wondering what's going on. Can you create? I'm literally in the middle of the crisis, and I'm the person who is the point person for our social media. I'm the one trying to craft an email to our teachers to let them know what's going on. And you know as well as I do, kids and their phones right here, we've got parents already showing up to the building because that's how quick things happen. So having those people in place, having that message, having somebody who's going to create that cannot be the person in the middle of the crisis.
So you got to think that through. So once again, if you have to, in 10 minutes, so somebody's been hurt, something has happened. You got to admit your students, the individuals you serve, your employees are already texting it out to people. How do you deploy on social media, on your website? How do you have speaking points ready to go? We got to be ready for these things. So what are those mechanisms? And you got to, think about your populations. We have to, the individuals we serve, either it's the student or those we serve, their families, the community, the police, fire, your board. Tell you what, oversight boards love it when you forget to notify them. And the first notice they get of a crisis is when they get calls. And we'll say this and everybody smiles like, how can that happen? I'll tell you how it happens. A horrible thing has just happened. Your attention is on the hospital and whatever else, and you're dealing with things, and there wasn't a mechanism to make sure that the board was notified right away, and you're dealing with bad things, and the board doesn't get notified. So what is your process? Once again, there's a whole system in that, but what is your process to get the word out? The next piece we need to look at is the idea of the media themselves. And this is a part where there's an entire training on how to deal with them. But the media, when they show up, understand that the media, they're good people. They have a job to do. Understand that they've got a job to do, and treat them well. But understand that if the media is there, they're out to get a story, and they're going to do anything they can to get a story. And generally, the stories that sell are not positive stories. I want you to think about if you had a story that says our organization got a $100 million grant to help kids, story one. Story two, organization has individual accused of inappropriate sexual misconduct. Which one gets 99% of the clicks? That's a shame, but that's it, right? That's reporters know that negative clicks sell stuff, and that's what they're trying to do. So understand that when a reporter is there, there's a couple tips. So when engaging with a reporter, some of the things they'll use, they'll try to use silence. Silence is a powerful tool when you're trying to get someone to talk. A tool, they'll come at you hard, and then they'll be quiet. What was that, 5 seconds? Kind of weird.
So uncomfortable.
It's uncomfortable. Even that 5 seconds, it's a weird dynamic. We as human beings, we abhor a vacuum. So we'll go in. So a reporter will often use silence as a way just to get you to start talking. And in training that we do, it's almost fun because we'll put somebody in the spot and we'll do the silence and we'll take you down a rabbit hole which you did not want to go, right? So to be aware that silence. Another thing, a reporter will try to make you feel as though you're on the stand. A reporter will ask very, very direct questions. Tell them, how could this have happened at this particular time? You are under no obligation to answer the direct question posed by the reporter. You always, always, always tell the truth. But no way do you have to answer the specific question. The key to this is you answer the question you wish they had asked. You answer the question you wish they had asked. Have you guys ever watched like a news interview where two people are having a discussion and you're like, are they even having the same discussion? Because person asks this and the other person answers that. Like, what are they doing? They're wrestling to see who can frame the debate. Whoever frames the debate wins the argument. And the idea in this, I'm going to talk about in just 1 second here, is your speaking points. You want to continually, when a situation has happened, you're going to continually go back to your speaking points each time. They're going to try to ask you questions to drag you off. They'll get in that in a moment. You're not on the stand. Another one, which is interesting, is the camera is still rolling trick. Holy smokes. Anytime you're in the presence of a reporter, you are being recorded. We have a superintendent we work with who had an interview one time with and the reporter actually that was an interview with left the room. The cameraman stayed in the room and he was acting like he was packing things up, and he had set the camera down so he was still filming, and he was still asking questions as he was packing up. He's like, boy, that mom was really crazy, wasn't she? Boy, that issue, can you believe that those citizens were that out of their minds? Hoping that the superintendent would not realize the camera was rolling and say something off the mark. You just got to understand that it's a game and they're out to win and it's not fair. So these things are, note to you guys, these things have recording devices. Do you guys know that? They record everything. So assume if you're in the presence of a reporter, you're being recorded. Another one real quick is that there is no magical realm of off the record. You shared this with me. It's off the record. Anytime the reporter says to you off the record, every tingling sensation in your body should be like, holy moly, put up the defenses. It's not true. We've had many circumstances, Lori, myself, and my team, where we're pulling people out of the fire because they've shared something that was off the record. Understand, they're also not your friends. We've had people say, I can't believe this reporter burned us. I've known this person for 25 years. I don't understand. They're not your friends. Be kind to them, be generous, be a good person, but understand that they've got a job to do, and by gosh, they are going to do it. So
We work with many different school districts and entities. My own niece is a reporter. And there are times that she is, oh, come on, Aunt Lori. I know you know the scoop on that. I know you know what's going on. And I love you dearly. You're my family, but I'm not telling you what's happening or what the scoop is. Tom's right. They have a job to do, and they're going to do anything, just like I have a job to do. I'm going to do everything in my power to do my job to the best of my ability. Reporters and journalists are the same way.
I want you guys to take that away, because I'm honest to gosh, we've gotten so many people have just been burned. I'd have a quick story. It's the toad and the scorpion. I don't know if you guys have heard this before, but there's a slow moving river, and you've got a toad and a scorpion, and the scorpion says to the toad, "Would you carry me across the river?" And the toad says, "No way, man, you'll sting me." And the scorpion says, "Why would I do that? If I stung you, we'd both drown." So the toad says, "That makes sense." So the scorpion hops on the back of the toad. They're halfway across the river. The scorpion stings the toad. And as they're drowning, the toad says, "Why'd you do that? Now we're both going to die." And the scorpion says, "I'm a scorpion. I sting. It's what I do." I just want you to understand that if the reporter, they sting. We really want you to take that. So when you see a reporter, again, be kind, get them a bottle of water, whatever, but visualize them with a big scorpion tattoo on their forehead, okay? They will come get you. The last thing about reporters is we also say they're zombies, and that they're attracted to things that are alive. The metaphor there is zombies only bite you if you're alive. It's an entirely different story. But okay, the idea is that when you are putting your message together, you want your message to be boring. You want your message to be boring. We have many stories where a situation has occurred and you're all rattled, and I want to give all of these details and all the rest. We had a circumstance where a little boy was hit by a car in a crossing walk, and he was actually hit by the school secretary. So the superintendent called. He was very, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? This is very bad. And he was already we're going to talk about his policies and this and all the, and we just simply asked, because in this circumstance, is the little boy okay? And actually he was back in the classroom, in a couple scrapes, but he was okay. Okay. So we had Channel 19, which was coming down on them, which in our neck of the woods these are the headhunters, right? And we just had the superintendent call Channel 19 in a very calm voice say, "I understand that you're sending a truck down. You're more than welcome. Understand that I wanted you to know that the little boy, he's back in the classroom. There's a couple scrapes, but he's totally fine." And they were like, "He's fine?" She's, "Yep." And they went away. If it bleeds, it leads. They don't want nothing to do with the simple. So just take any sexiness or anything out of a story, and they'll go away. Some tips about a reporter. Okay, so we said a moment ago they're going to try to drill you down for the specifics. You need to frame the debate. Whoever frames the debate wins the argument. Any reporter, anyone else, they're going to try to talk about the most salacious, scandalous parts. What you want to talk about is the part that you're a part of. We have something called the safety sandwich. And when I say this, you're going to have seen this before. You begin every statement with, "The health and safety of those we serve is our top priority." The health and safety of those we serve is our top priority. That's the top bun. The bottom bun is, the health and safety of those we serve is our top priority. In the middle, your statement is, what happened? First layer. Next layer, what are we doing about it? Third layer, when can the next update be expected? So the health and safety of those we serve is our absolute priority. What happened? What are we doing about it? When can the next update be expected? And we wrap it up with the health and safety. Why the health and safety? It's if you're in a situation with a reporter, someone is coming at you, it is a great way to get your bearings. I mean, why do we do what we do? We honestly do it because the health and safety of those we serve is our priority, whether it's a school district or a board of development. That's what we're all about. And understand that these reporters and the rest, they're not looking for a huge story. They're looking for that 3-second or 5-second soundbite, and they're looking for just a couple small pieces that they're going to put in the paper. So we want to provide them with information that we want to see in the paper. So once again, just a very, very simple encapsulation of what happened. We're not writing pulp fiction, gory stuff, just what happened. Be very, very simple. When we if you do this with another group as well, when you actually come in, what you want to have is be a situation where you're given a bunch of scenarios, and then you take these scenarios and then you build out your message in a very simple way to make sure that they understand. Now, one of the absolute laws of crisis communication as you're building your message is that people will not tolerate inaction. You must be doing something. There's going to be circumstances where you're studying this, or there's an investigation underway. You need to always present, that the health and safety of those we serve is our absolute priority. A particular incident occurred with a student. The individual involved has been placed on paid administrative leave pending an investigation. What are we doing about it? And then we demonstrate again that everyone is safe, and we end with our safety message as well. The safety is the priority until people understand that all kids or all individuals served well or safe. They can't even hear anything else. So we need to establish that first. Again, the health and safety of those who serve is our absolute priority. What happened? What are we doing about it? When can the next update be expected? And then the health and safety. That component, it really helps you break down your message. Once again, so the reporter is coming at you, they're asking all these specific questions. We had a situation one time where, I can't do all the details, but a little kindergartner was left in a bus. The bus driver had forgotten to check the bus, and the little girl was walking around the bus garage, and the local reporter had heard about this and was really fishing, but they didn't quite understand what was happening. The little girl, she was safe and fine, home with her family. Everything was okay. No one wanted to make fuss about it, but this reporter heard something, and the reporter was on speakerphone, and so I had the superintendent on the line so I could hear, and that reporter was really drilling that superintendent. The superintendent kept coming back to, I appreciate your question. As I said a moment ago, the health and safety of our kids is our total priority. The little girl is safe. She's home with her mother. There really is no issue. And it's amazing. He kept going back and forth, and it was uncomfortable, and there was no story because there was no story. But that reporter was really trying to drill in on that. Okay, so you have your message. You keep going back to that message. What I want to end with here is, so you've got your preparation. You're preparing for the crisis event. There's the crisis event itself, and this next part is part that people often forget: healing. When a crisis has occurred, remember you're protecting your reputation. Something has occurred. There's been inappropriate misconduct by one of your staff members. Somebody's lost money. Somebody's embezzled money. Somebody's gotten hurt. There's been a breach of trust. Think about with an individual. If there's a breach of trust with an individual that do you simply move on like nothing happened? No, you have to rebuild that trust. You rebuild trust with a person or a community the same way. You say you're going to do something, and then you do it, and then you say you're going to do something again, and you do that, and rinse, repeat, like the fourth, fifth time, like this person is trustworthy. So imagine there's been a situation where money was stolen or embezzled. You don't just move on. Like, we have a levy coming up. Maybe nobody will remember. Heck yeah, they're going to remember. So what you do is you say, this situation occurred and we've dealt with it. This is now post-event. Because think about it too, and a crisis occurs, you want to just be done with it. You want to just move on with day-to-day business, but you can't until that it's been healed. So you state to the community, this event occurred. This is how we dealt with it. And this, say the money was embezzled. We have put together the ABC financial oversight process. This process is going to be implemented over the next 6 months. We are going to, we're going to give you monthly updates on this process to ensure that you understand what's happening. We're then going to report back entirely to the community in 6 months as to how this new mechanism is working. So the idea, once again, there's been a breach of trust. We acknowledge that. What is the system or process we have in place, which we can then broadcast to the community to demonstrate that we made a mistake, we're fixing it, and then we report at the end that that's been fixed. There has to be a mechanism to heal. Make sense? Okay, 4-hour presentation in 20 minutes. Woo! Okay, that's a lot. Any questions as to some of the overall themes as far as the preparation, the event itself, or the post-healing, which has to occur, that anybody may have?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So I'm putting this kind of in perspective of some like a big issue. I'm also wondering if there's an iteration of this, or if it's this light, if you will, for something that may have only impacted one person. So for example, one of the services that my organization provides is transportation, but transportation isn't available for 100% of the people for all things that they ask for. So I'm wondering that situation where an upset family person is calling you, kind of, it's not a local TV situation, but it definitely is important. Any tips on those situations?
Yeah, that's one. What's great about this is there is no roadmap. And I wish there was. Some of these are kind of your belly. They'll tell you, and you have to know, is that family the family that's going to go to the press? Is that family the family that's going to go rogue on social media? One of the things we talk about a lot is crisis instinct. Is the real art of crisis communication is diffusing a situation before it becomes a crisis, right? That's the ultimate thing. So in a situation like this, perhaps you already have. Can you go meet the mother or the father for a cup of coffee? Can you talk it through? Is there a way to get under this before it becomes an issue? Because we found very similar circumstances like yours. You get an upset parent who feels righteous about something, they take that to social media and now they start ramping it up. So is it something that can be nipped in the bud in an ethical, positive way? If not, there's a possibility that there may have to be a larger statement to inoculate yourself in case that comes out.
But I also think, Tom, that the basis, whether you're speaking to a singular entity, a parent, a set of parents, whatever that may be, or you're speaking to a large organization, that sandwich remains the same. So you're going to say the health or safety of your son or daughter is paramount. This is what happened. This is what I'm doing about it. And this is what I'm going to do moving forward. When's the next update? Maybe there's not a major update, but in that same communication with a singular person, when can I expect something? Well, we're going to put a policy in place that's going to hopefully fix this moving forward. So I think that message is the same, whether you're speaking to a singular set of people or a large entity. Hopefully that answers too.
Is it possible to meet? Are they in a rational place where they could be spoken to?
Yes, in fact, I'm inviting her in to be able just to tour what the whole process looks like, so maybe she can understand. And so it happens to be a family member of a person with a disability who, in a professional lens, she also has a very visible professional. So when she went to social media, it I think was a magnet for others to kind of comment upon, and so on and so forth. So yeah, we're trying to do that educational piece with her and trying to make her a part of the solution, or at least maybe an ambassador where she can say, hey, this is a pretty complex situation. They are doing the best that they can, so hopefully she leaves with that impression, if you will.
And social media is one of those things too, where we get asked all the time, should we engage in social media? And this is another judgment call, in that we have a lot of communities where we have, the same couple negative people are trying to churn it up. They're trying to churn it up, and they have the same 5 or 6 people that are going back and forth with them. In that circumstance, let that thing die on the vine. If in fact, that maybe in your circumstance, you have an influencer or somebody who's actually, they're getting some feedback, other things,
Legs, yeah.
some legs with actual people in the community who are kind of rational. You got to interject. That's where we interject with a positive message. Once again, supporting the individuals is our priority, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Yep. And any other questions? Well, we hope to Pete that you guys never have to use any of these things. Hopefully, let us know if you do. We'd be happy to help. Once again, we're the Impact Group. We do strategic planning, communications, a lot of professional development for boards of DD, for schools, for cities, the rest. And we'd be honored to work with you sometime. So we'll be doing these seminars each month. I hope to see you at the next one. I hope you guys found some value in this. Everybody have a wonderful day. Thank you.